Hey yo, so I'm going to make a quick tutorial about post-processing in Houdini and how to get a quick iteration workflow so you can develop your scene and also develop your post-process effects at the same time. And when I talk about post-process, I really mean screen space post-processing, which is not something, to my knowledge, that's possible with Karma or Mantra. You can only do post-processing on um, specific materials that you're applying to objects. So if you want to just manipulate all the pixels on your screen, like you often want to do with a non-photorealistic rendering system, then actually you have to use cops. So the gist of this system is it's going to make a hotkey tied to a shelf tool, which triggers a OpenGL render, which is faster than Mantra, and then also triggers the cop network to recook. And so as soon as you make a change to your scene, you can see the resulting post-process render basically immediately. So I'm going to start off here just with setting up a really basic render in my scene. I'm going to do, I like the squab, I guess. That's a nice one. And then I'm going to create a camera, and let's say a distant light. Let's tie my camera to my viewport with this little lock icon here. So when I move my viewport, the camera is going to reflect that. And now I'm going to go ahead and go into the ROPS context. This is, you type N, you get this little wheel, go to ROPS, render operators, and then I'm going to right click and do a OpenGL, which is a very fast render, and it's going to just give us that quick output we need. Speaking of which, go to the output tab, and we're going to set a path here for our output image. I'm just saving this in my desktop. I'm going to call this like tutorial render.png. This file does not exist yet. As soon as I click render, it's going to exist. See, it's pretty quick. Now I'm going to go to my cops context, and I'm going to create an image network here, dive into that, and I'm going to create a file node. And I'm going to change that path over to that tutorial render. Right, and here we see it right here. And yeah, I have a composite view showing right here, my scene view over here. And now let's go to the shelf tool. So I'm gonna right click on my shelf. I can go plus to create a new shelf. And then in there, do new tool. In the script tab, I'm going to do two things like I mentioned. First of all, I'm going to render this OpenGL. Second of all, I'm going to recook the cop. So to render the OpenGL, what you do is you do like who.node, what's going on? Who.node, and then you pass it the path to the render node, which you can see right here. It's basically /out/OpenGL1, and then I'm going to call render on it. And you could, there's yeah, you can also do parm execute press button. That's another way to do it. You can basically trigger any button this way. So I can just test that out, no error. Now let's go to my cop, and let's see what I can automate here. What I want to automate is this reload sequence. So I mouse over, it says parameters reload. So let's do who.node image1, that's the path which you can see right here, /tutorial render png .parm, what was it called, reload, press button. And let's see if it works. So I'm going to move my camera a bit here, and then I'm going to press my button. And there you go, it's updating immediately in cops. And let me quickly show how you can add a keyboard shortcut. So you just go to the hotkeys section here, you click edit next to global because you want it to work everywhere, and you just click here, and then you enter your keyboard shortcut. I like Command-Shift-R. And if you want to see what else is applied to a specific keyboard shortcut, you can click the buttons here, and it'll show you, Command-Shift-R is assigned to these other ones, which I don't care about, so whatever. So I do apply and accept. And I can move my camera around. Oops, what's going on? Sorry. and do Command Shift R, and immediately it just updates over here. Yeah, I can look through, I can even move my light around. Command Shift R, and there you go, that's pretty cool. Yeah, and let's talk about post-processing a little bit. So if you want a little more info on cops, I recommend the Tokuro CG Wiki article on cops, and they say the cops wrangles are super clean, and that's important because a lot of the post-processing shader code you'll find is in HLSL, like on Shader Toy, or GLSL, whatever, and yeah, so you really want it to be in code form. Like, if in my opinion, it's a hassle to be having to translate this kind of code you find into nodes, drag them around. It's just more cumbersome, especially when you have a bit of experience with programming. And if you are someone who's like doing a lot of VOPs and like shader networks with dragging boxes connected to each other, like I do recommend you try and find a workflow that involves coding, because it's quicker and more flexible and easier in my opinion, once you just get a little bit of a hang of the code and stuff. But anyway, yeah, so let me show how to do kind of post-process code in cops. So you just right click, you type in filter, and you'll see this VOP cop2 filter here. You hook them up, and then immediately, just to pass through it, but when you dive in, you type inline, and then in order to read your color in, you actually don't need to connect this at all, but in order to read your color in, you can say vector color equals set RGB, and then let's say I want to invert my color, so I can do color equals set 1 1 1 minus color. And then if I want to assign that out, I say assign RGB color. And there's my inverted image. And again, my hotkeys all still work here. So I can just move my camera around, press my hotkey, and then I'm seeing the result, which is pretty cool. Yeah, what else? I mean, I think I made another video about cops. There is a way to do more shadery style things, like sampling different pixels than the one you're currently processing. Since it's not actually running on your graphics card, it is a lot more flexible than actual shader code. Like, you can read Face ID maps, or even primitive attributes, etc. So I'm definitely going to try and bring this into my workflow, because I'm trying to spend more time doing post-process effects. I really like non-photorealistic rendering, and it's really nice to have them all in one tool, one location. I mean, this does work with Mantra as well, so if you just change this OpenGL to a Mantra and then change your script, then that'll work. Just replace this with Mantra. But the thing is, Mantra is pretty slow, so it doesn't have that sort of quick render cycle. It's not instant. Yeah. And in terms of like other post-processing, toolkits, I do recommend Touch Designer. I mean, I really prefer doing my scene development in Houdini, but they're obviously for different purposes. I mean, Touch Designer is for real time. If you like doing post-processing with shader code, it's a pretty good environment for that. I mean, it is real time, and it supports like regular shaders on your graphics card. It's just not built into Houdini, and it's definitely not as flexible as Cops. So that's why I'm kind of excited to try out this particular workflow. I hope this was useful, and take it easy.